that if I get that position, and I believe I will, your world is going to change.
Bernie Sanders was interviewed by the Young Turks yesterday and gave a great answer on what he can do about healthcare if Biden wins. Because, of course, Bernie Sanders supports Medicare for all. Joe Biden supports a public option. Does Bernie have some ability to maybe influence Joe Biden or influence the direction on healthcare once Joe Biden becomes president? Watch this.
If Biden does win, he's going to push for a public option. Obviously, you're in favor of Medicare for all. Where does that leave you? Do you support him in pushing forward the public option? Is there a progressive pushback and fight for Medicare for all in a Biden administration?
Well, I will tell you where it leaves me. Everything being equal, if the Democrats gain control over the Senate, and I want to remind all of the viewers, of course, the presidential election is enormously important. Do not forget about the Senate. Democrats stand a reasonable chance of gaining control of the Senate. If they do, Cenk, I will be the chairman of the subcommittee on health. And let me tell my good friends in the healthcare industry and the pharmaceutical industry that if I get that position, and I believe I will, your world is going to change. So of course, we're going to continue the push for Medicare for all. Now, the bill that I presented was a 4-year transition. I didn't go to Medicare for all in one day because I don't think you can do that. In the first year, Biden now wants to see the eligibility age for Medicare go from 65 down to 60. There hasn't been enough discussion on that. That's important. The first year of my bill, 4-year transition, has it go down to 55. So in the first year, what I would like to see is us lower that age to 55 and cover all of the kids in America on year 1. That is something I certainly will be pushing on. I will also be pushing to make absolutely clear that we end the outrageous collusion and price fixing of the pharmaceutical industry, and that the people of our country do not pay higher prices for prescription drugs than the people of any other country on earth. Also on that committee, which I will be number 2, the Health Education Labor Committee, Pension Committee, we will pass a $15 an hour minimum wage. And what I'm working on, Cenk and Anna, right now is what I call a 100-day proposal. I want Democrats to come out of that gate very, very rapidly. It is not business as usual. We don't have 6 months to study an issue. We know what we have to do for the American people in education, in climate change, in the economy, in healthcare. Let's do it. Let us try to restore the confidence of the American people in the political process. Let them know that there are some of us who are fighting for the working class of this country, and we are going to deliver.
I was really impressed by this answer. In fact, I was expecting him to completely sidestep the question, because he's asking Bernie, what are you going to do if Biden wins? How are you going to pressure him? It's the kind of question where, earlier on in the interview, Bernie basically said that, right now isn't the time to go after Biden, hold that fire for after the election. So I assumed he would do the same with this question. But no, he lays out a fantastic plan here. He's going to be the chairman of the subcommittee on health. He's going to have a prominent position when pushing healthcare legislation. That doesn't mean, this isn't a guarantee of Medicare for all, but it means that there's an ally in the fight close to the fight. And if you have, that pressure from inside, in addition to pressure from outside, maybe a massive protest on Washington for Medicare for all, wouldn't that be great? It would move the conversation. At the very least, it would move the conversation. And Medicare for all would be a continued element in that discussion when it comes to discussing what people need with healthcare. When you have COVID-19, giving the perfect example of why you can't have healthcare tied to your employer. How many people lost their healthcare because they had healthcare tied to their employer and now they lost their job? No more healthcare. When you have an example like that, helping to bolster the argument for Medicare for all, it just higher the chances of it happening. So having Bernie, get very deep into the discussion here and really break down exactly how he's going to fight for pushing a Biden administration on healthcare is fantastic. And he also brought up the $15 an hour minimum wage, which Biden does support and has been discussing, and it's good to see him discuss that. That's an actual move to the left from 2016. 2016, Hillary Clinton only backed $13 an hour. I will say, though, just to be completely, fair, Hillary's healthcare plan lowered the Medicare age to 55. Biden's lowers it to 60. So that's going backwards. But as Bernie discusses there, his plan would in the first year would lower it to 55, his Medicare for All plan. And I imagine he's going to be fighting for that in his position as well. So this is, it gives me a little hope. And this, in addition to this recent story from Politico, AOC House progressives warn Biden on corporate hires. A letter from left-wing lawmakers and groups calls for corporate lobbyists and high-ranking executives to be shut out of a Biden administration. Now, is this letter really going to, change everything? No. But it shows you that there is a willingness here to fight. They're getting, they're attempting to at least get in the conversation now. And keep in mind, this fight is also happening from the right. At the same time that the left is trying to do this, the right is also trying to get their people into a future Biden administration. So this is going to be a constant battle. But seeing that there are actual people in positions of power fighting for this, and it's not just activists from outside, the walls of Washington, but it's people from inside directly in connection with the Biden campaign, there's a potential here to get some solid people in the Biden administration. So keep an open mind. Again, it's important to be skeptical, of course, but it's also important not to lose hope. If you just go through life every day thinking, oh, everything sucks, nothing's going to get better, then why are you even bothering? Why do you bother listening to this stuff? Why do you bother educating yourself? Why do you bother being in this fight? You're likely watching this. You're in this fight. You read up on this stuff because you care, because you want things to change. So it's important to understand that this is how that change starts. This isn't, a declaration of actual change, but it is an indication that change can happen if you continue this push.